Hi, friends. I am happy to announce the first podcast for our jyotishportal.com. This is the first from the Pashyanti studio, where I invited Jayesh and Nitin for a conversation. Many more podcasts to follow. Please do watch and do share your comments. If you wish to be a part of Pashyanti studio, do reach out to me. And I guess you know how to reach us by leaving a comment on any of my YouTube videos or from the contact us page on jyotishportal.com. Thanks.
Namaste and welcome to everybody. My name is Jayesh and from our Jyotish portal at the Pashyanti studio, I welcome you all to the first podcast from the Pashyanti studio. And in our first podcast, we have a very special guest, Mr. Nitin Patil from San Francisco. Nitinji is an engineer by qualification, a technocrat who's worked as a software professional for almost 35 years. And he is very passionate about astrology. And Nitinji, warm welcome to you at the Pashyanti studio.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here.
Pleasure is ours. We are so happy to have someone who's in the last 35 years seeing more than 5,000 horoscopes. That is quite a large number of horoscopes, and I'm sure you will share your experience of astrology and how you got into astrology on this forum, so that all the guests here, and I'm sure we have a lot of educated professionals, engineers, doctors, lawyers wanting to hear how people like us got into astrology. So over to you.
Okay. All right, great. First of all, like I said, thank you very much for inviting me to your very first podcast. It's a great honor to be here, especially on the first podcast. So I got to make sure we get this right.
Yes.
So let me tell you how my journey started with astrology. It started in almost 37, 38 years ago, in early 80s, when
Oh,
when I was a teenage boy, and I did everything that teenage boys do. Watch movies, play cricket, just hang out, get into trouble, and those kind of things. But at the same time, I happened to run into a gentleman who was into astrology, and he once, asked me to hand over my horoscope to him. I don't know why he chose amongst the 10 guys that we were there. He just pulled me aside and asked me to get my horoscope, and I got my horoscope to him. Then he did some analysis and he sent me some writing about that, and I was quite uh, quite impressed, quite impressed to see the analysis that he did, and that kind of attracted me to the science at that time. And I said, "Can I borrow one of your books?" And he was gracious enough to allow me to borrow the book. I started reading the book, and I read the book in one sitting, end to end. And that's
wow.
how I got into astrology. And then I enrolled into some formal education for astrology in India. And interestingly, before I could finish my engineering degree, I finished my astrology degree. And
Wonderful.
then I've been practicing astrology for almost like 35 plus years, and I have my clientele around the world, because technology has made the world small. So you can talk to anybody on the phone, Skype, WhatsApp, or whatever, right? And that makes it
Absolutely.
easier to communicate. And as you rightly said, I've been doing this for so many years, and more than 5,000 horoscopes I have seen from people from all walks of lives.
Wonderful, wonderful. For the benefit of our viewers, what was the book? I'm sure they would want to know the secret.
There are several books that are really, really good. People have done a lot of research and shared their knowledge with us. The first book I read was very basic book that was called Jyotish Rahasya. It's in Marathi, so I don't know if it is available in other languages, but that's how I got started. But as my journey started with astrology, and over the last 35 years, I, I I started with Vedic astrology, then I slowly transitioned into KP astrology about 20 years ago. Because when I started with Vedic astrology, KP wasn't that popular. So, but in the last 20 years or maybe 25 years, KP has really taken its foothold now. And I've been using KP astrology for my consultations. And the books that I read for KP are there is a book by Suresh Sahasane. That book is in Marathi. I don't know if it is translated in anything. Then there are a couple of other books by Marathi astrologers. One of them is called Jyotindra Hasbe. Then there is a one book in
Hasbe
Gujarati by
Guruji. Uh-huh.
Chandrakant Bhatt. So
Lagan
these,
Bhai, yeah, yeah,
so these are some of the books that are really, really good books for KP astrology.
correct. Your origins are from Pune. आप Pune में, you were born and brought up in Pune.
I was born and raised in पुणे में सारा तो मतलब हाँ मतलब जवानी तो पुणे में गई फिर यहाँ यूएस में आ गए so I've been here for about close to 35 years now so but I'm very very kind of happy to see that even in the Western world here right there are people who are curious about this topic and whenever I get an opportunity I share with them my perspectives and allow them to come to their own conclusions.
That is so wonderful. And you mentioned a name, the last name was Hasbe. I don't know what the first name was.
Jyotindra.
Sorry?
Jyotindra.
Jyotindra Hasbe. So my formal astrology lessons came to me by Mr. Sriraj Patade. And he was somebody who was again not a full-time astrologer. He used to be working at the Mazgaon dock as a superintendent. And आपकी तरह वो भी about last 35 years से astrology 1980s. And he learned from हसबे जी. वो हमेशा बोलते हैं हसबे गुरुजी हमारे. तो उससे सीखा तो yeah some common links there. And you mentioned about a lot of authors जिन्होंने मराठी में लिखा है and certainly a lot of work. In fact, around Pune there's a big astrology community and a lot of practicing astrologers where Krishnamurti Paddhati has definitely taken precedence, जैसे आपने बताया.
So one thing I noticed, I don't mean to interrupt you, Judge, but just since you mentioned a topic about KP, right? One thing I noticed about KP is the simplicity and the accuracy. Let me explain what I mean by that. जैसे आप वैदिक एस्ट्रोलॉजी देखोगे तो उसमें there are divisional charts. तो जन्म कुंडली है, राशि कुंडली है, नवमाश कुंडली है, ये वो. So it becomes very vast ocean. Versus KP is very simple and there are not many laws. I mean, if for example, if you say, if you are talking about wedding yog, शादी का योग होना है, so just focus on the 2nd, 7th, 11th houses, you're done. Right?
Certainly.
So the simplicity of KP probably is what appeals to a lot of people, and also the accuracy.
Yes.
So that I think those are the winners for KP.
Coming from somebody like you, who has 35 years, and yeah, KP has been in existence. I mean, it got popular in the late 50s. In fact, the KP readers written by Professor K.S. Krishnamurti himself, I believe that is, kind of a treasure of work that anybody who wishes to learn astrology or KP astrology in particular should be reading. And that's how I kind of went to an astrologer, and I was amazed at how a person who doesn't know me, hasn't met me ever, is talking about certain aspects of my life and is very confident about certain things which are going to happen in the future. So yeah, that was kind of an experience and one astrologer, and I happened to go to a second astrologer. And in the process, I mean, yeah, just like you are a mechanical engineer by qualification, I am a chemical engineer by qualification. And I was curious to know how can somebody, say so much about you and your life just by looking at your birth time and drawing a horoscope.
Mhm.
It is this curiosity which
Mhm.
drew me to astrology.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and because as you rightly said, I mean, we both come from engineering background, and I have seen a lot of people who come from that scientific or engineering background. They find this very amazing because the basic idea of this astrology is it is based on the movement and placement of the planets, right? Which is so that it's all science. It's all laws of motion. There is no voodoo stuff in that. Of course, and
Absolutely.
as you evolve or as you practice any profession, right, you build some kind of intuition. Now you are in the business of chemical engineering, so for everything you don't have to go back and look at the book. You just get some intuition. Okay, this is how ऐसे करना है तो ये होगा.
Right,
Similarly,
right.
even in astrological practices, right? And when you practice astrology, every time you don't have to go back to the book. Once you look at the horoscope, आपके सामने किसी की कुंडली आ जाएगी. You look at the कुंडली and you will know inside. अंदर से आता है वो. So,
Ye-
so there is a it's a very interesting mix of pure science or physical sciences, pure sciences, as well as some kind of intuition. And that
Absolutely.
intuition happens without we realizing it.
Agreed, but at the same time, it is not the kind of intuition that like आप और मैं, both of us practice Krishnamurti Paddhati,
Mhm.
and when we look at Krishnamurti Paddhati, intuition comes at a stage where, by a time when we know that, that we are at a point where it's either going to be option A or option B.
Mm.
Okay, and it is going to be, say, I mean, the best part of the Krishnamurti Paddhati is that you can time the events.
Mhm.
So when you get to that stage, it is at that stage you use this intuition.
Right.
And what we term as intuition is actually not an intuition. It is based on our previous studies, which have
Right.
told us, this is how things will progress.
Right.
So
So let me.
Mr. Krishnamurti always believed that it is research that gives the answers,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
the rules of astrology should always evolve. They are
Right.
open to change.
Right. And when I was referring to intuition, what I was referring to was sometimes, when in the process of analysis, you reach a fork. At that point, you wonder whether मैं इस तरफ जाऊं या उस तरफ जाऊं. And
Yes,
and then, it's at that point, you just feel that maybe I should take this route. And
correct,
it just
correct,
happens. So yeah, I mean, again, at the end of the day, right? This is all done by human beings, and we all act upon what our gut tells. Right?
yes,
So
yes,
that's the element I was referring to.
yes. It's wonderful, and certainly, you did foray into some aspects of astrology and the Krishnamurti Paddhati and the rules. And for the benefit of our viewers going forward, we will certainly want to have, I mean, a session with you where you can outline, the basic principles of Krishnamurti Paddhati and
Mhm.
how it actually derives its origins from the Vedic astrology,
Mhm.
and also borrows on some aspects of Western astrology.
Mhm.
So certainly, that is something which we will want to hear from you going forward.
I will be delighted to share my knowledge because I invested 35, 40 years of my life into understanding this science and doing something with it, and I want that to continue. I want the people from other people also to jump in and take what I have done and take it to the next level, because I don't want this knowledge to die with me.
Yes,
So to
yes,
say. So yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to get in touch with me, they can do so on my website. My website address is astromirror.com. That's astro, ASTRO, and mirror, MIRROR.com. So it's one word, astromirror.com. People can go to this website, वहाँ देखेंगे कि how they can contact me, and I will be more than happy to share my knowledge and In fact, I'll be honored to be again on your podcast to share my knowledge and let people see dwell into the world of astrology.
Certainly, certainly, and also, you've been a professional all your life. You worked as a technocrat. You run your own business, uh, and you also practice astrology. I mean,
Mhm.
you have, as you are doing courses on astrology. You've studied so many horoscopes. So how do you balance, maintain a balance between your practice of astrology and your professional practice? And I say this because there are a lot of individuals,
Mhm.
professionals, people who are working, who have very responsible positions that they hold in their organization.
Mhm.
And while they are, very enthusiastic about learning astrology, they believe, how do we balance and how do we manage our time?
Mhm.
So I'm sure
Mhm.
this is also what we would like to hear from you, Ki. How
Okay.
you have managed your time.
Okay, so yeah, as you rightly said, I run my own business and also do astrology. Uh, so when people say, how do you balance these two? Uh, I have a slightly different take on it. Let me explain what I mean by that. जो काम करता हूँ, I run my technology company. That's my काम, that's my work, कर्म है. But astrology is something I love, right? So when there is something that you love, you will find time. So if I have to, I mean, I don't mind sleeping 4 hours less, but I will spend those 4 hours on astrology. So yeah, I mean, sometimes there are days when both the both the both the both the parts of my life are competing with each other for the time, but there's always some give and take. But my suggestion to people is who are posed with this question कि मैं ये करूं या वो करूं. Don't say ये करूं वो करूं. They are not mutually exclusive. Find a time. 2 घंटा कम सो जाओ, हो जाएगा. It will happen. So that's what I do. I mean, I try to sleep less and then do what I love.
Yeah, yeah. No, no. So, I mean, that's wonderful, and certainly on this aspect, I would also want to add to what you mentioned, and add by my own experience.
Mhm.
So, and for the benefit of all our viewers, so it's easier to learn Krishnamurti Paddhati as compared to the lessons of Vedic astrology.
Mhm.
Now, I know of courses which run for like 2 years and even more. I mean, there are
Mhm.
there are courses which run for 5 years
Yes.
on astrology. From my personal experience, if you understand the fundamental principles of astrology, and certainly Krishnamurti Paddhati is something which is derived from the Vedic astrology itself. So, if you're clear with the basic principles of Vedic astrology, understanding and applying Krishnamurti Paddhati with a sincere effort, could be done within 3 to 6 months' time.
Yes.
And for all those who are willing to, or wanting to learn this, I would encourage that Krishnamurti Paddhati is the way to start. And
Mhm.
once you have a hang on it, and thereafter, it can be a lifelong learning.
Very true, very true. As you rightly pointed out, Jayesh, 6 months is a good amount of time, and if I may, that's what I do in my professional practice. I do conduct training classes for people from all walks of life, and I've been doing that for last 3 years here in the San Francisco area. So yeah, I mean, you sit down with the people, and then in a small group, give the training session, tell them basics about astrology, basics about KP, and then we do a lot of case studies. And well, as a part of case studies, sometimes you are wrong, sometimes you are right, but then you go back and research. And
Yes.
once you have these basics, then the whole world is yours to win.
Correct. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely. And the best part about astrology is that uh, uh, it's like, once you learn astrology and the fundamental principles of astrology, well, you have your own chart to apply the principles on, and relate aspects of your life to your horoscope. And I think the learning case studies is a very important aspect of learning astrology.
Mhm.
We may learn a lot of theory, but
Mhm.
unless we put it in practice, unless we cast a horoscope, unless we start, reading a horoscope and making predictions. And certainly we should not fear, that whether how confident we are in terms of the prediction. We may have an element of doubt. Well, it is a probabilistic science.
Mhm.
And I mean, my understanding is that even the best of the astrologers in the world, if they have a 70 to 75% success rate, that is considered to be good enough.
Mhm.
Your experience on it?
Very, very true, very true. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, what you rightly said, it is a probabilistic science, and so is every other science, right? For example, if you look at medical sciences, right? When you go to the doctor, whether doctor is trained at Harvard, Stanford, or any other elite university, when the doctor is going to operate on you, they will ask you to sign a waiver. Now, they say, we are going to do our best, but things can go wrong. Now,
Right. Absolutely.
so they are also saying it is probabilistic, but things can go wrong. So that's the analogy I want to draw. So yeah, I mean, we know that mostly what will happen, but things can go wrong, and that's when you go back and research why it went wrong or what we missed.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful. It has been so good having this conversation with you, and getting to know your foray into astrology, and knowing your experiences, and the balance, how to maintain a balance between your passion and your profession. And certainly this is a something that a lot of viewers who are watching this would be encouraged now to make the take a dive into astrology, something which they were thinking, but after hearing you, I'm sure you would have inspired many individuals to go ahead with what they once believed they wanted to. And certainly we will share your contact details as a part of this podcast, so you can help those who wish to kind of reach out to you and guide them. It'll be wonderful to do that.
All right, very good. So, Jash, I want to thank you very much for inviting me on this first podcast, and also thanks to Pashyanti Studios. It was pleasure and delight to speak with you. And as you said, if you would like me to come and help you from time to time, I'll be more than happy to do so. Thank you again, and all the best with the podcast series.
Thank you, thank you. And very soon we will have a lot of features on our Jyotish portal, a lot of resources. We already have the Jyotish portal up and running, where a horoscope can be generated on the fly. I mean, it's free for all. Generating the horoscope and having enough information to actually read and make a prediction. So yes, Pashyanti Studio is doing a lot of good work, and it is through contribution and support from individuals like you that we wish to reach out, astrology in its pure form, in its nascent form, to the world.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of us today.